Hi friends, welcome back to Sheena's Homestead. Today is a really exciting episode. We are planting together a lot of onions. On this day, I ended up getting 450 onions into the ground and we still have 300 left to go. We're going to plant some other things today too, but we're just getting started with these onions. I'm loosening up the ground and making sure it is all nice and ready for these little babies to go right in. This year I picked up 3 different varieties to go into our ground. These are a red onion and that is what I'm going to start with. And then I also have another variety that is extremely large. The picture shows the onions are as big as a person's hand. So let's hope it actually gets that big for us too. And then I have another yellow variety. And the reason I'm doing this is I chose not to plant white onions this year. I did last year and they molded extremely quickly, so I don't think that I use white onion enough. I pretty much use yellow in its place almost every time anyway. So I'm going to stick to the varieties that work best for me in my area. And if you are new to my channel, I am in zone 6A/6B. I'm literally on the line. The next town over is 6B. So I say that I am in both because some years we swing one way and some the other. And you can just see here that I used a muffin tin to space out my onions. And I know that that's a little close together for some gardener standards. But this has worked well for me for the last couple years, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm just giving a little extra space to the bigger ones. And you can see here I have some volunteer lettuce growing around my garlic here. It's so encouraging to see things growing on their own. And some of them are getting quite big, as you can see. So we're excited to see that, and I'm definitely going to let them grow. And here the girls are with Sammy. They're just taking a break from their homeschool and enjoying the sun. And today our rooster and our hens are enjoying the sun too. Isn't he so beautiful and handsome? And here is one of our plum trees. It is flowering, and actually by the end of this video I will show you how many more flowers in just a couple days after this recording came out and bloomed. We had a beautiful week weather-wise. It was also Liliana's birthday, so we had a lot of celebrations and just really had a good time this week being out in the sun. So in this bed, I am just going to plant a really quick crop of lettuce. I think that I will get enough lettuce out of this section to use before my tomatoes are ready to be planted out. So that is my plan. I'm doing a little bit of succession planting, and you can see I kind of drew out 12-inch spots for myself. Just so that I can put lettuce in each of those 12-inch spaces. Now, it was super windy on this day, so I was just trying to make sure all my seeds didn't blow away. But I managed to get 16 spots in a 1 square foot by square foot space of this lettuce. And I'm using all different kinds of varieties so that I can hedge my bets and make sure that I get some sort of harvest out of these. It's one of my favorite tips as a gardener, just to make sure you hedge your bet and, get different kinds of varieties in the ground, and you can see what works best for you. In some years, one variety might work best, and other years that same variety might not work again the same way that it did. And if you put all of your eggs in one basket, you may not get any sort of crop out of that. So I just make sure that I'm planting different types so that I can make sure that my family gets something out of my labor. And then, as always, once you're done planting, you want to make sure you get them all nice and watered in. Otherwise, the birds will get to them. And speaking of birds, they are all over our yard. This one and this little cutie here on the ground are super sweet. They come really close to me when I'm planting, and I really enjoy them. So now we're going to switch gears, and I'm actually opening up some of my winter sowing jugs. This one here was an old orange juice container, and inside of it I have spinach, and you can see how well this spinach did here. And and this is Angelina with one of our ducks. They love to carry them around the yard, and they're very well socialized, as you can see. So on this day, I am just preparing a different side of the bed, and I'm working some new potting soil into my mix here just to keep things nice and loose. Sometimes the dirt tends to get a little compacted after a long winter. So I'm just loosening things up, and I'm going to transplant the spinach into my ground. So we are mid-April here. Well, actually not quite. We are almost mid-April, and I'm, like I said, zone 6A, and so I am getting my spinach into the ground, and I also have some broccoli that we're going to work on too. Okay, so we're going to switch gears now, and now we are working with our broccoli sprouts. So Liliana is helping me here. I'm going to give them plenty of space between each, and they're going to do just fine because they are a cold weather crop. So the time to plant them is either spring or the fall. And of course, we are in spring right now, so we're going to try and get a crop out of this before we need to plant some of our summer things. I will probably put squash in this space when our broccoli is done blooming or giving us what we need from it. I figured I'd take a quick step back and just kind of show you the space that I'm working with and what the yard looks like. I have my 5 garden beds over on the right, and then this is the one my dad and Rob built as my original garden bed, and I love this one so much. And most of my onions and garlic are planted already here in this space. I would say I probably have about 30% left to plant. So now I'm going to show you what our orchard looks like. For those of you who are new, we have about 32 fruit trees that we planted in 2021 and 2022. We do add a couple here and there each year, but you can see how much, I should say, how many more blooms there are at the end of this week versus the beginning. And then this is also a plum tree, and look at that. It is just filled with flowers, and our neighbors keep bees, and you can just see how many honeybees are all over this tree. It is definitely a favorite since there aren't a whole lot of flowers out right now. We do have daffodils and a lot of dandelions, a couple flowering trees, but this one by far is the most flower-filled tree in the neighborhood, and I think half of the bees are here on this tree at this very moment. And then this is our beautiful magnolia. It has bloomed, and it's looking magnificent. And then back to gardening, I just want to follow up and end by letting you see what I have growing in our winter sowing project. So this container is lettuce, and the lettuce has sprouted. I also have some cabbage here, and you can see all of those little green leaves coming up. It's such a great sight to see. And I believe this one is my sunflowers. So I have not successfully been able to grow sunflowers, so I'm hoping this is my year. The bunnies always end up getting to it, and it's just unfortunate. And here's what's left over from the spinach and the broccoli. And I planted out about half of each container, but you can see I still have plenty more. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you guys have started your gardens. Thanks so much for following along. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Sheena's Homestead. Goodbye, friends.